So in this video, we'll talk about anonymous class. Now, what exactly anonymous class is? So before that, let me take an example here. We'll say class A. Again, I'm taking the same example of class A. In this class A, let's suppose we have a method called a show and which prints. So let's say it prints in a show. So if you run this code, it will. I mean, if you call the method which is show, so we have to create object of A, right? For that, we have to say obj.show. And when you run this code, we got the output in a show, right? And this is what we know. Now let's say I want to call show, but it should not print in a show. It should print something else. Let's say it should print I am the best. So if I call show, it should print I am the best. For that, either you have to change this source code, but let's say I don't want to change a class. Then what you have to do is you have to create one more class, which is B. Now this class will extend A, and even this class will have a method called as public void show. And this show will print I am the best. Okay, and now if I create the object of B, you can see if I call show, it will execute I am the best, right? So in order to change the existing method, we need to override that method, right? And that's what we have learned in method overriding. So I don't want a definition of A, I want a definition of B. So I want a new definition. That's what we have. That's why we have done it. So if you observe this class B, the only purpose of this class is to override a method of A, right? That's the only purpose you have. In this scenario, when your only purpose is to override a method, you don't have to write this. Then question arises: if you don't write this, how we can achieve I am the best? So what you can do is you can say A before this semicolon. We can provide a curly brackets open and close. Now when you say a new, then the class name and curly brackets open close, even this becomes a class now. So this class here will replace the class B. So we can write this method, which is show method, inside this A, the object itself. So we don't have to create a B class there. So this is a new class now. So this is a class which doesn't have a name. It is doing the same thing which is done by B, but now it doesn't have a name. And that's why this class is called as anonymous class. So this is a class which doesn't have a name. So if the only purpose of your class was to override this method, we have done that here. So when you provide anonymous class and when you try to create object of it, you can say this is a class and we are trying to create the object of that class. This is called as anonymous class, and now this class scope is only here. You cannot reuse this class. So if your intention is to create a class only for one-time use, you can prefer to use anonymous class here. So this anonymous class, it's a class which doesn't have a name. So how to create that? We just have to create an object and just before the semicolon provide the implementation. So this is the implementation of a class. And if you run this code, you can see we got the output as I am the best. So when you call show, it is not calling the show of A, it is calling the show of the anonymous class. So it is that simple. That's how you use anonymous class in Java. That's it. In the next video, we'll see how to use anonymous class with interface. So in the last video, we have seen how to use anonymous class, right? So let me just repeat what we have seen. So we can create anonymous class by specifying the object and then the implementation of it. Normally what happens is we create a class and then we create the object, right? But in anonymous class, we first create the object and then we specify the implementation of it. What exactly that object is. So let's try to implement that concept in interface. So in interface, what we have is that if you focus on this implementer class, the only purpose of that class is to implement ABC, right? Since we wanted the object of ABC, we have created a class here which implements ABC, and then we can say ABC obj equal to new implementer and we can call it. What if I can simply say a new ABC? Will that work? And the answer is no, is because you cannot create the object of interface. You can see that it is giving you an error. You cannot instantiate the type ABC because ABC is an interface, right? Now, why we cannot create the object of interface is because it doesn't have the implementation. What if I can just provide the implementation here itself, something like in an anonymous class? I can create this method, or I can just copy this code and paste it here. So I can just create a class and the method definition. So I don't need this class, right? So if you can focus on this thing here, now we have an object of ABC which also has the implementation which is void show. So we don't need that class. You can see that we don't have a class there. And if I run this code, you can see we got the output as anything because we are printing anything here. And if you change this text, if I say I'm the best, and if you run this code, you can see we got the output as I'm the best. So that's how you use anonymous class to instantiate the interface. The advantage is it will not waste lots of your memory. When you use a normal class, it creates a class file. This will also create a class file, but this will be used only in this particular class. You cannot reuse this definition. So if your idea is not to reuse the definition, you can always go for anonymous class. In fact, it is my favorite. After some videos, you will understand the real power of anonymous class. So stay tuned for that. But you can create the object of interface using anonymous class. So we can say interface, ABC obj equal to new ABC, and we can provide the implementation here itself. We don't have to create a new class for that. So yeah, that's about this video. In the next video, we'll see the types of interfaces. So now in this video, we'll talk about different types of interfaces and we'll majorly focus on functional interfaces. So when you say types of interface, so the first interface is normal interface. Now what exactly normal interfaces are? So in one interface, if you have more than one method, if you have an interface which has more than one method, that is normal. The second one is called single abstract method interface. Again, we can call it in a short form, you can call it as SAM interface. So we have single abstract method interface, which is so it will have only one method. So as you can see, this ABC is a SAM interface. The third one which we have is called marker interface. Normal interface is an interface which has more than one method. Single abstract method interface has only one method. And marker interface, you guessed it right, it doesn't have any method. Okay, so if you have an interface, any interface which doesn't have any method will be called as marker interface. Example, if I talk about interface which is inbuilt interface in Java called as serializable interface, and if I click here, you can say it's an interface which doesn't have any methods. This interface is called as marker interface. Again, there will be a question why we need an interface which doesn't have any method. Again, we'll talk about that later once we start with the concept of serialization. So we'll know that at that time. But time, remember, we do have three types of interfaces. We have normal, single abstract method interface, and marker interface. So till 1.7 we used to have these three. In 1.8, which is the latest version of Java, again from this video we'll be focusing more on the Java 8 concepts. In fact, on every concept will have, all this concept will have something new which is there in Java 8. Finally, we are introducing Java 8 here. So in Java 8, which is the latest version of Java, we don't have, we do have single abstract method, but that interface is specifically called as a functional interface. So now in Java 8, we have normal, we have functional interface, and we have marker interface. Now what is functional interface? It's an interface which has only one method. Why it is so important to know about functional interfaces? It's because if you know functional interface, we can use something called as Lambda expression. If you know what is functional interface, we can use Lambda expressions wherever you have functional interfaces. So this concept of Lambda expression is coming from a language called Scala. So Java adapted Scala language. So now in Java 8, we have all the features which were there in Scala. So again, you can do some experiment on Scala. So the videos for Scala, it is there on my YouTube channel, which it will not take much time of yours, maybe 1 or 2 hours you will learn Scala there. So Lambda expression is something new to Java, which was not there earlier. So we'll talk about functional interface and Lambda expression now. Let me remove this stuff. So for point to remember, we have three types of interfaces: normal, functional interface, and marker interface. Let me remove this and let me go back to this interface here. So this interface ABC just have one method, right, which is show. So this type of interface is called as functional interface. So we can also use an annotation called as functional interface. Why we need to use this is because maybe your intention was to make this interface as functional, but by mistake you are using one more method here, which is let's say A, and if you do that, you can see we are getting error because functional interface cannot have two methods. We can use functional interface annotation, it is not compulsory anyway. We can remove that. So we have this interface which is functional, right? Now if you observe this code, let's say for time being, close your eyes and just imagine what I'm saying. I hope you have closed your eyes now. So just imagine we have a class called as A. Okay, so we have a class A. When I say A obj equal to, now what comes to your mind? So if you imagine, if I say A obj equal to, so automatically in your mind there will be a line, you will complete the line, right? You will say new A. So that is something which we can assume. So when you say ABC obj, new ABC, it is something we can assume, right? What about this method public void show? In this ABC interface, we just have one method, right? So why to even define that stuff here? Why to say public void show? The problem is Java, there are lots of people, they don't like Java is because Java has lots of boilerplate codes. Now this boilerplate code, it's something which is extra. Okay, we don't need that. This language called a Scala, they thought, why to have all these boilerplate codes? And in fact, in Java also now we're adapting that. So when you know that from here to here, it is something we can assume, then why to write all those stuff? We can remove that. So we can remove this stuff. Again, let me undo this part. So since I'm removing this curly brackets also, I will remove this one, okay, this curly brackets as well. So I can remove this stuff from here to here. We just need that round brackets there to define that whatever you're writing here is a method. And to define that, this is the method name which is show. So this round bracket is a show method now. And we can use an arrow to define that this method here belongs to, this statement here belongs to show method. Since we have only one statement, we don't need this curly brackets removed. We can remove all these curly brackets. And we can see we have 2 semicolons here. I don't need that semicolon. I can write everything in one line. So that's how you can create an object of an interface in one line. Okay, I know that is something very difficult to understand, but trust me, this is not difficult. It is just unfamiliar. Lambda expression, Java 8 concepts are not difficult. It is just that you are not familiar with it. Once you do one or more code, you will understand the crux of it. But time and remember, what we have done is we have just provided the implementation for show method. I wanted to give system.out.println inside show, and we have done that. So you can see it is still working. So this stuff here is called a Lambda expression. So whenever you use a method bracket and then arrow and then the method definition, this is called as Lambda expression. And this is only possible with functional interfaces. You cannot achieve this with an interface which has more than one method because there will be a confusion, right? Because if you have more than one method, you have to define 2 methods. This statement belongs to which method, it will be a confusion, right? So this stuff only works with functional interface, and functional interface only works in Java 8. So let me just undo this stuff. Let me do this once again. What are the things we have removed? So first of all, we have removed from here to here because this is something which we can imagine. We can also remove this curly brackets, and we have to put an arrow there, which is a Lambda expression. Now we don't need this curly brackets because we have only one statement. We don't require semicolon, and we can write everything in one line. And if you run this code, it still work. Okay, so that's the awesomeness about Lambda expression and functional interface. I know after watching this video, there will be some, there will be some people who will not understand this, but that's okay, In meanwhile, we'll be doing lots of programming with Lambda expression. You will understand the complete thing once we watch some more videos on it. That's it. That's it about Lambda expression. See you in the next video.